Hey, howdy, hey, how we doing? Welcome to the Mike's Monday Jams YouTube channel. What? Crazy. If you're unfamiliar with us, my name's Mike. I've got a weekly podcast in which I break down a song that I either listen to the most that week, has a particularly exciting anniversary, is a song that a friend sent me, or is just something that is worth talking about. And I usually do so with my lovely and wonderful partner and fiance, Miss Emma Coons, who is behind the camera today, and I'm sure she'll be making some appearances in future videos. But nevertheless, wanted to kick off our YouTube channel with a vinyl tag. Some of you who have listened to the channel know, or listened to the podcast know that I am an avid collector of records and have been doing so since I was in high school, about circa 2015, 2014. So almost 10 years now. Have accumulated a lot in the process, and M herself, my partner in crime, has accumulated some as well. And so as we've gone about our relationship, kind of collided with collections, and so the more the merrier. And it's always great when your partner has the same interests and hobbies as you do. But I got this prompt and this vinyl tag list from Dylan at Noble Records. I believe he got got it from somebody else, so I'm not sure if I've got that name here. So if you gave us this list, appreciate you. I don't know who you are though, but shout out Dylan from Noble Records. If you're unfamiliar with his channel and you love watching vinyl record stuff, go give him a look. He just reached 100,000 subscribers, so he's really moving up in the world. But anyway, the first thing on the Vinyl Tag 2024 is favorite record that you purchased in 2023. And for me, that's going to be the sophomore release from the band Camino called The Dark. Em and I are I would say super fans of this band. We've seen them quite a bit. In 2022, we saw them 4 times. And it was fun in 3 different states. But they released their second album this past year in 2023. And this is the Spotify exclusive press that's on this like nice dark purple. So it fits the vibes of the album really well. But it's a really great album. I feel like really solidified their place in music with this album this year, and I'm really happy with it. I actually got to go to the album release party in Brooklyn back in August when this thing came out, so it was really exciting. And yeah, so that's gonna complete the first one. All right, for number 2, it says the last record that you bought in 2023, and for me that is going to be The Killers, Rebel Diamonds. This was a greatest hits compilation that was announced like later in 2023. At first, and I think many other Killers fans thought it was going to be a new album. Alas, it was not. It was just another greatest hits compilation, which, it's great, but it's also nice to have new music as well. And I always think it's counterintuitive when an artist release greatest hits records when they're definitely not done in their career, because there's so much more gas in the tank. And I think that's the case with the Killers. But this is a really awesome greatest hits compilation, and it's even got some new singles on it. So it's not entirely just a greatest hits compilation because of the new singles, but it's great. The artwork's great. This is another Spotify exclusive pressing. It's on this like dark green. Fantastic Man, one of my favorite bands of all time. And a great compilation that encompasses their career. Prompt number 3, a band or singer who released 2 or more albums in the same year. We're throwing it all the way back to 1969, and I only have 1 other releases. I'm sorry, y'all. That's part of collecting. There's always things that you're on the hunt for. But that's going to be the band Led Zeppelin. In 1969, they released both Led Zeppelin 1 and Led Zeppelin 2, and here I've got my remastered pressing of Led Zeppelin 2, one of my favorite albums of all time, and an extremely, extremely good blues rock album, and a band that just entirely dominated the late 60s and most of the 70s, and left a huge impact on the industry and classic rock as we know it. And so if you're unfamiliar with Led Zeppelin 2 or just the band Led Zeppelin, this is a great place to start when it comes to listening to Led Zeppelin. So yeah. Prompt number 4. If you could only listen to music from one decade, which decade would you choose? For me, I think that's a dead giveaway.
Dead giveaway. Dead giveaway.
Because it would have to be the 1970s. There's a lot of variety that exists, from disco to funk to classic rock to progressive rock, what have you. And so the album that I chose to represent the 70s is When the Eagle Flies, Traffic. Traffic was a vessel for a vocalist named Steve Winwood to kind of get his start. But they're a fantastic band, obviously, with him in it. And this is a fantastic record that came out in 1974. And I just really love the song Walking in the Wind. I believe it's been a Mike's Monday Jam. However many months back, I'm not sure, but a great album to represent the decade that I would so easily be able to listen to for the rest of eternity. All right, Emma's gonna love this one. The next prompt is show a record by a band or a singer from Manchester, and so that would definitely be Manchester, United Kingdom, not Manchester, New Hampshire. I know some of you at home were confused by that, but it's gonna be "What Story Morning Glory" by Oasis. I think it came out in '96, but this is a 25th anniversary pressing of it. It speaks for itself, right? Wonderwall, Don't Look Back in Anger. I mean, classics. You know them all. You love them. You sing them. I don't know what I could say more about Oasis that hasn't already been said. So, woohoo. Prompt number 6, which band or singer did you listen to most in 2023? I think it's interesting, right? Because this is a very open-ended question, because it's like, oh, what did you listen to most on the turntable, or what artist did you listen to most on streaming or CD, whatever medium that you consume. And for me, I guess for both, putting it on the turntable, vinyl, and digitally would have to be the Grateful Dead, which I know is going to make Emma's eyes roll. But this is the 77 Cornell show that they so graciously decided to repress again this year and put some more out of them, because this is a pretty rare box set, and I received this as a birthday present this year. Shout out Jeff Koons for this. Thank you. But it goes without saying how awesome this show is. If you are a Deadhead, or if you're familiar with the Grateful Dead, then you know. So to own a physical copy of this is just chef's kiss. Yeah. Prompt number 7, show some 7-inch records. How fitting is that for number 7? So up first, one of my faves that I have is going to be this Audioslave 7-inch. It's got Show Me How to Live on it, and it's got Super Stupid, which is a cover. And it's on this like nice little red press, which is cool. I love Tom Morello. I love Chris Cornell. And so this is like a no-brainer in terms of owning, but also it's pretty rare, and it's in some pretty good condition. And shout out to my dad who gave me this back in the summer of 2020, when I was like really getting into like 90s like grunge and rock and things of that nature, early 2000s stuff like this. And so it was very fitting for the times, especially with the pandemic. But I've got 2 more 7-inches that I want to share, and these are ones that came as a result of combining collections with your partner. And so this is one that's definitely a classic, and that's going to be Fat by Weird Al Yankovic. I don't think I need to say anything more about how cool this is. And last but not least, on the 7-inches, we're going to go with the Death of a Bachelor 7-inch, Panic at the Disco, Brendan Urie. What a talented man. And in this past year, 2023, I think he officially decided to hang up the towel and quit as a band, which is very, very sad. So just to commemorate with him, and also another 7-inch that's on a red, which is pretty cool, but also extremely rare. Number 8, who's coming to your party? Choose 4 music-related people to come to an imaginary dinner party, past, present. Who would you invite? I think that's a very interesting question. First up on the docket, my boy Frank, big Sinatra guy. This album in particular, Point of No Return, is one of my faves of his. And he just feel like he's got a lot of stories to tell, having been in the music industry so long, creating his own label, Reprise Records, being like the first like ultimate like example of a gentleman and member of the Rat Pack, one of your favorite crooners. He was associated with the mafia? Question mark. Suspicious.
Don't be suspicious. Don't be suspicious.
So I feel like Frank's got a good time in him. If you hang out with him, and a lot to offer to the table. Number 2, Tom Schultz of the band Boston. One of my guitar heroes. Got 2 degrees from MIT. Invented the Boston sound that we all know and love. And need I say more? Number 3 is going to be Mr. Geddy Lee of the band Canadian trio Rush. My birthday buddy, fun fact, actually share a birthday with Mr. Geddy Lee. And this past year, he released a memoir in which he went on a little book tour for, and I got to go to the opening night, which was super awesome. And it felt like I was meeting him, but it was just like even further confirmation that like we would have a good time at like a dinner table, So there's that. And last but not least, another guitar hero of mine, Mr. Adam Jones of the band Tool. He's just a all-around like modern day kind of Renaissance dude. If you don't know who he is, like he's obviously done a lot for the band Tool, but he's also done a lot on like the sets of Hollywood movies. Like man was involved in a lot of the claymation stuff of like Jurassic Park, which is also, again, somebody who's had a lot of experience who could talk a lot at a dinner table. So Adam Jones. Number 9, we lost them this year. Choose one musician who passed away in 2023. So I think the natural course of action is to say Jimmy Buffett. So I will. However, I used to have a pressing of You Had to Be There live, and I'm sure we'll put a picture right there. I cannot find it. I think it's like either in the storage closet or if it's at my home, but it's somewhere. I definitely have it. I just couldn't find it on the shelf. So definitely want to put an ode to Jimmy in this video. He will be missed greatly. Number 10, imagine you could only listen to music from one country. Which country would you choose? This is tough. I think naturally your mind goes to 3 answers. That would be the US, the UK, and Canada, which are very fair, go-to answers, safe answers. And so going with the safest answer, gotta choose the US and A, baby. I mean, come on.
I already won the lottery. I was born in the US of A, baby.
And so I think something that perfectly encapsulates the US is a genre that is specific to the US. So I went country for this one and chose Brad Paisley's Fifth Gear. This is the Vinyl Me Please pressing of it. That's on this like nice light blue and light yellow classic album with some classic tracks, and definitely the best guitarist in country music and a really funny guy, and somebody I might consider wanting to be at the dinner table in that aforementioned prompt as well. Let's see. Number 11, name 3 vinyl community channels you discovered in 2023. So I already mentioned Noble Records. I've been watching my boy Dylan for, I want to say almost 2 years now. But this past year, I discovered 3. Channel 33 RPM, my boy Frank in Canada. Shout out you. And then Too Many Records is a guy who runs a store in Portland, Oregon. Really like him. And NTX Vinyl stands for North Texas Vinyl. Those are 3 channels I think you should check out. Again, if you're into vinyl records and things of that sort. But number 12, show a record you bought when you were a teenager. So one of my faves, especially one of my favorite bands, the Eagles, The Long Run. I got this at Spin City Records in Memphis, Tennessee. It was off of the corner of Highland and Poplar. It does not exist anymore. But I just remember pulling this out of the bin when I was like 15, 16, being really excited. And this is one that I listen to a lot still to this day. And it's a really good first pressing of it. Don't let the cover deceive you with its little nicks and whatnot. The vinyl is actually very, very clean and very pristine. And so if you're a fan of the Eagles, but this is a fantastic album and one that I put on a lot. But it just reminds me of those little trips that I used to go on, like with my dad or with friends, like either at Spin City or just like the local antique shops. I grew up around Memphis, so there was a lot to pick from. So yeah, the Eagles, The Long Run. Alrighty, number 13, lucky number 13, show a funk or soul record. Full transparency, two genres that are kind of lacking from the record collection over here. But something that I think qualifies for both funk and soul would be Mr. Stevie Wonder. So this is the original Musicarium 1, which is, essentially a greatest hits compilation. I mean, again, what is there to be said about Stevie Wonder that hasn't already been said? Fantastic guy, fantastic musician, and so woohoo. And here's to maybe getting some more funk and soul in 2024. Who's feeling funky? Funky fresh. Okay. 14, show a record you think everyone has, then show a record you think nobody has. A little two-parter action. What? Okay, so I identify as like a Gen Z millennial cusp, so zillennial, if you will. And I think people of my age group, of all of them who do have record collections, everybody's got a copy of AM by the Arctic Monkeys. And I know M is rolling her eyes behind the camera because she's not the biggest fan of this one. But alas, I think it's true. Everybody's got it. It's fantastic. It's, good alternative rock. I think it's going to end up on some top 10 albums of, the 2010s someday, because it's got a lot of bangers, as the kids say on it. And then going off that same vein, a record that you think nobody has. And so nobody's a subjective term, right? That would mean you are the sole owner of one copy, which is, few and far between. But I picked this one because I know only 500 of them were pressed, of this pressing specifically. And so that's going to be Turnover Good Nature. It's on this like tricolor looking thing, which is real awesome. And I, again, know only 500 copies of this were made. So not nobody, but essentially in a world of 8 billion people, 500 is, pretty much nobody, I guess. Number 15, She's Great, a record by a female artist that you bought in 2023. So I had a Vinyl Me Please membership for about 6 months of the year to just kind of try it out. I got my master's degree this past year, and that was like my present to myself, of having that for 6 months as a subscription. And if you're in the vinyl community, they did some pretty sick promotion this year where they gave you some free records for just subscribing, which was awesome. But this is one of the ones that I got in the subscription. This was Ella Fitzgerald at the Hollywood Bowl, the Irving Berlin Songbook, and it's on this nice hot pink wax, and it's numbered too. I think they only made like 12 or 1500 of them, and this is like number 915, which is always really cool to see, and a nice little extra touch for it. But fantastic big band jazz album, and if you haven't listened to it yet, give it a shot. And the art style is really cool as well. Number 16, the favorite video you posted on your channel in 2023 and favorite video you watched on the vinyl community in 2023. Seeing as this is my first video, I have no comments there. However, favorite video that I watched would have to be from Noble Records. Dylan bought a collection from a guy named Chris Whitson, and it was like somewhere in North Carolina, I think around the Raleigh area. And this guy had like this massive collection, and he had like tragically passed away many years ago. And he was buying it off the family who was trying to get rid of, the collection, and was trying to free up some space and whatnot. And it was just a remarkable story. Go check it out. It's on his channel, but it's now amazing that Dylan has like essentially any record that's belonged to his collection, he's made like a little sticker with like a QR code that links to the story on all of the little sleeves. So if it was like you go into the shop and buy one from his collection, you can see the story on it, which is really cool. And I think a great way to honor somebody who just really loved music and really loved the vinyl, just collecting vinyl records. Number 17, show me a record you describe as a 90s classic. For me, a couple things came to mind, but this is a pretty dead giveaway. Alice in Chains' Dirt might as well be a greatest hits compilation in itself. It's a fantastic album, a little heavier, obviously on the grunge side. And they did a remastered press last year in 2022. And so this is the remastered press, and it sounds awesome. So check it out. Number 18, if you could walk into the cover, Look through your collection and choose a record cover you'd like to be a part of. What would it be? I think this is a phenomenal question, and I think can warrant some very interesting responses and answers. And so for me, it's going to be Time Tequila Therapy by the band Old Dominion. As you can see, it's got like a bunch of Polaroid pictures of a bunch of dudes having a grand old time, and so would love to be a part of this hangout and this set and maybe some of this debauchery. So another one of my favorite groups, and just seem like some dudes. So yeah. Number 19. It's like a greatest hits. Show a record you're so familiar with that it feels like a greatest hits. That's gonna be Tourist History by Two Door Cinema Club. I think this album came out in 2009 or 2010. But this was like the soundtrack to most of my college experience at Florida State. My best friend Tommy and I loved this album. We know every word. We can crank it. It was always at many of our, functions and get-togethers. We were blasting it. So it's good alt rock. It's on this very cool white pressing too. Great album, Tourist History. And last but not least, number 20, show me an album that was released in 1974. What a great year for music. And I even already included an album that was released in 1974, and that was that Traffic album on this vinyl tag. But last but not least, we're going with the first self-titled release from the band Bad Company. This was released on Led Zeppelin's label Swan Song. And this album is like quintessential classic rock. Paul Rodgers and gang. I love this album with all of my heart, and this was received as a gift from my dad, who introduced me to Bad Company. And it's an original press, and it is like spotless. I think this like just hung out in somebody's closet for 30-40 years, and then they just finally decided to sell it. But like there's not like a nick on the vinyl anywhere. The cover is, as you can see, pretty spotless. Even when you open up the gatefold, it is like remarkably clean for something that is, twice my age, which is really, really awesome. And I think that's something that's a very attractive part about record collecting, especially when you get used stuff. You're always like, where was this? Who owned this? What kind of stories could it tell? And so I think that's a great way to close out the vinyl tag, and a really great just symbol of record collecting and why I love it so much. But alas, that's going to do it for our first video on YouTube. Yay! Pretty crazy. And so again, if you're unfamiliar with us, check out our weekly podcast. Excited to deliver some more videos and explore that medium a little bit more. But take care of yourselves. Thanks for the listen. Thanks for the watch. Like and subscribe. And we shall see you in the next video. Happy 2024.